My name is Craig Picken. I'm an executive recruiter. More than a decade ago, I started my practice for one purpose: to use my experience as a former military aviator, business jet sales executive, and P&L leader to help aviation and aerospace companies and their executives be fast, adaptable, and strategic. I do these podcasts to inspire and inform, but more importantly, they are a focused platform to help business leaders grow. Welcome to the Aerospace Executive Podcast. And welcome back to the Aerospace Executive Podcast. Hey, we've had Scott Ashton on once before, and I wanted to bring him back. Scott is the new owner, president, and CEO of Aerox Oxygen Systems down in Florida. He recently bought the company and is working to take it to new levels. So, Scott, welcome back.
Craig, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be back again.
So, so one day I'm talking to you, you're all fat, dumb, and happy up in Connecticut. Next day I talk to you, you're like, hey, I bought a company in Florida and we're taking it to the new level. Tell me more.
It's one of those stories, Craig. I literally packed up the car on a Sunday morning with everything I could fit into the back of a Lincoln Hybrid, which isn't much. And I drove to Florida. And the business had been brought to me by Bill Alderman back in late February, late February. And, I credit him because he saw that this was the right opportunity for me because, he and I know each other, and that this was the right opportunity for Aerox. So, I started doing a little bit of due diligence, started putting together the money that I thought I was going to need to buy the business. And the more I looked into it and the more I researched the space and the more I thought about what I wanted to do with the rest of my career, this was just the perfect opportunity for me. So that's why I packed up the car and told my wife, I'll see you in a couple months, and drove down to Florida. And it's been a whirlwind ever since.
So so your experience is pretty varied. Yeah. You Associated Air Group, which was a Sikorsky, Lockheed Martin company. And You ran that for a couple of years, and then you left, and then you were general manager of a smaller company on Long Island. And now you're an entrepreneur, actually has got his money into the business. What have you learned along the way?
It was really a natural progression for me. Last time we talked, we talked about the tugboat analogy, and, that's really my DNA is to be in the tugboat. And, what I learned along the way was that I really like running and growing companies. And, after doing it twice, at a big company inside of a much bigger company and then a smaller family run company, I realized that I had the ability to do it myself, and build wealth for me and my family. And, it's when I look back and over the course of my career through the engineering, the marketing and sales, and then operations and running a couple of businesses, the skill sets that I use every day, it goes right back to the beginning of my career. So, my entire career was really a progression that led me to owning this company.
So Aerox, you manufacture and repair oxygen systems for general aviation?
Yeah, so it's general aviation, business aviation, helicopters. We supply the emergency oxygen system for the 609 tilt rotor. So, I like to say oxygen engineered for aviators. So, we're not just a small supplier of general aviation portables that are, going in the back of, Cessnas or something like that. We have really highly engineered, highly complex systems that that are used in some of the most complex aircraft in the world. So we've got a great customer base. I've got engineers on staff, and going back, we talked about, going back through the course of my career, I was at Goodrich Engine Control Systems in GE when we were running environmental tests and things like that. But we're in the middle of a DO 160 qual right now on this system for Leonardo. And it's perfect. And it's funny because my engineers, this is one of the first DO 160 qual tests that they've run. So I'm actually able to bring something to the table in the discussions, which is good because it gives me a lot of credibility with the team.
How many employees do you have?
I got 12 employees.
Okay.
I don't count my wife as an employee, even though she's the CFO.
There you go. Yeah, as is mine. So 12 employees, couple engineers, production, and repairs.
Production. I've got 2 quality guys, and I've got 2 sales and customer service people.
So let's talk about going back from big company to small company. I mean, you're all of a sudden now you're investing your own money, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, I want to make a change." It's scary. If I've got to use my own, making a change from a big company to a small company is scary for a lot of people. Pulling dollars out of their pocket and actually buying a company, that's got to be scary as hell. You're betting on yourself. What do you say to that?
It is not for everybody. And actually, I mean, as you know, general management, running a company is not for everybody, but it's when it's your own money, it takes it really to a much different level. But, on any given day, running a small business like we do, there is nobody else. There's nobody else to do the things that need to get done, whether it's figuring out how we process credit cards or coming up with a new 401k program, or figuring out how to run a qual test on a oxygen solenoid, and dealing with customers, which is really the favorite thing that I love to do is to be with our customers. So, every day, every hour, you're shifting gears and doing something different. And really what the mindset you have to have, and it's hard when you get to a certain point in your career, is every day you need to be learning, and you need to be learning completely different things. And I love it. And people who I know who run small businesses, because I've got a good network of people who own small businesses, whether it's HVAC or a law firm or, whatever it is, machine shops. Every day is a learning experience, and you really have to be open to that on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. And if you are, you can be really successful.
Yeah. Look, I was thinking about it. So today I've got a search ongoing, and we're kind of laughing because the client likes me. They love me. They're like, "You're a junkyard dog." I'm like, "Look, when you're a small business owner, you are a down in the trenches junkyard dog. There is nowhere to hide. I mean, it's a compliment. There's nowhere to hide. Your reputation is on the line every day. There's nobody to point to. You're right.
That's it. And every day when you finish up and you get into bed, every day that company has your fingerprints on it. Everything that goes on has your fingerprints on it. And, I love that. I love that at the other companies that I ran, but I really love it here, because you're building, something sustainable for you and your family. And that means a lot, when you think about, the long term, what this means for your family, and that there is no net, that this has to work. Yeah. It's pretty powerful, and it's scary, but it's like, diving into, cold water. It's great.
How do you instill that sense of responsibility on your employees? I mean, look, you've got 12 people you feel responsible for. It's like, hey, I want them to have great jobs. I want them to, be successful and thrive. And, on the flip side though, a lot of the difficulty, managers have is that, hey, look, how do I get them to understand that if this fails, it's catastrophic. You go get another job. For me, it's catastrophic. I mean, I
think some of it is leading by example. When I came in, there was a lot of uncertainty as to what was going to happen to the business. This could have gone a bunch of different ways. Mm-hmm. So when I came in and we had our first all hands that Thursday night, and we started talking about things like customers, and what customers mean and what customers mean to each of us. And then, when I related to them the responsibility that I feel for their livelihoods and for, their kids and, education and being able to go out and, go on vacation and that sense of responsibility that I felt, and that, we were going to stay in Florida in our location, and that we were going to grow the business, and that I did want this to be successful. I believe and I feel that they want to be a part of that, because, they could have been bought by a bigger company that they would have just come in with their, with their minions, and it would have been their way, and, that would have been it. And I think now there's a sense of collective ownership of the outcome. And I'm very grateful for that with my team. And then in terms of the leading by example, it's getting it done no matter what, and really showing the employees how important the customer is. And I'll give you an example. Earlier this week, we had a customer. Shipping has been a real nightmare the last couple of weeks. Both of the big shipping companies have been really, really difficult to deal with losing packages and stuff. And we had some stuff that went up to a vendor a ways from here, about 4 hours. And, it had gotten lost in transit, and it finally made it up to the vendor, but we were late with our customer. And I said, the heck with it, I'm going to go get the parts myself. And I hopped in my truck, and 4.5 hours, I went and got the parts, and, and brought them back. And the next morning, the guys were working on them, and we got it out that night for the customer. And I think that level of dedication and just getting it done, they see that, and, it's modeling that behavior. And honestly, I didn't do anything extraordinary. Any business owner would have done that if it meant taking care of their customers.
Yeah, no. Hey, look, that's the part of entrepreneur. That's part of being small. It's entrepreneur. It's like, hey,
Yep.
look, I'll come up and I will hand deliver these things to you. My father-in-law used to run a travel agency. He's 93. He used to run a travel agency. He would literally hand deliver tickets to people at their door. And he ran he was very successful that way. And that's part of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, and the customers have been great too. One of the things that I love to do is I get copied on when a customer leaves a voicemail. I get copied on it, and I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them and talk to them and ask them about their airplane and tell them a little bit about what we're doing and get their feedback. And the reason I was late today was I was having lunch with a customer who actually flew in, bought one of our big connected bottles that we just brought to market, and for his RV10. And I wanted to meet him and see his airplane, and we hooked it up, and I showed him how to hook it up to his iPhone, and went out to lunch. But I got a lot of great feedback on how he's going to use it and what he thinks about it, and how he came to reach out to us over our website. So that's the stuff that I really like to do. And you get that feedback, that immediate feedback,
right,
from talking to customers that you don't get in a bigger company when it's,
and now you get
filtered.
now you get into the the clubs. There's plenty of RV10 clubs out there, and here's how to optimize our system for your airplane. It's direct feedback. Do your employees feel that sense of entrepreneurship too? I mean, do they like the small company feel? I mean,
I think so. When I had one-on-ones with all of my hourly staff, and I got to know them a little bit very early on. That was really important to me, to spend an hour or so just learning about what their backgrounds were, and they all came from big companies. There's a lot of big aerospace companies in Florida. A lot of them have moved or whatnot, and we were able to pick them up. And they're great. They're great people. They're very hard workers, and I think by and large we do have a really shared sense of we're going to go conquer the world. And from a business perspective, I'm very competitive, and we keep a tab on our competitors and what they're doing, and what our customers are saying about us and them. And I pass around information when we get a positive review or something, or a nice letter from a customer. I pass that around, and I make them feel like they're part of the process. And I think that means a lot to them too, that when they're in and they're assembling a regulator or something, and that regulator, I'm with a customer in a couple of days, and we're using it in the customer's airplane. That immediate connection is a lot different than I think you get in a big company.
How are you empowering? How you're not a micromanager. I know you well. How do you empower people?
So by outcomes. One of the things that we're doing is we're setting up a Kanban system to pull parts, not parts, but end items that we can ship to customers to speed the order to remittance cycle. So when a customer orders something over the website, my CTQ is I want that out next day. I don't want to wait for it to be built. It should be an off-the-shelf item. So we've got one of our quality guys, actually a manufacturing engineer by background. And, when I had my one-on-one with him, he was very excited about, some of the things that we were talking about in terms of process improvements. And, he stepped up and said, hey, I want to be a part of that. Give me a project. And so basically I said, let's set up a Kanban and, let's see if we can do some visual, this is stuff that every company is doing, but let's set up some visual inventory, so when I walk into the inventory area, I can see exactly what's there and what we need to be, to be building to make sure that we can take care of our customers. And he said, okay, well, I'll put together a plan and I'll present it to you. And, then we can go do it. And I said, no, I said, you go do it and then we'll test it. And then if it doesn't work, you're going to fix it. I said, I don't need to know what your plan is. You know what you're doing better than I do. And, so today, this morning, actually, we did a quick demo and it works really well. So, so it's really, it's only been 90 days, but it's, just starting to build that trust that, hey, if you see something, it's almost like a safety policy in an aviation organization where, if you see something and you don't fix it, you're just as culpable as the person who actually, did that. Right. So, that's it's not even say, if you see something, say something. It's if you see something, damn well better fix it. Right. And that's what I'm trying to instill. And it takes a little bit of time and it takes time, but it's really just building up that trust.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What's the goal? I mean, so you bought the company, you're sort of, you're 90 days into it. Your fingernails are probably a little bit short. But I know you got a lot of optimism. What's your goal?
So, like you said, I'm an optimist by nature. And I think, so short term, my goal is to de-integrate the company from the parent company that we bought the business from. Right now, a lot of our systems are still integrated. So, so the first 90 days was really discovery, setting up our financial systems and whatnot. And now the second 90 days is going to be execution of all of the things that we found. So, and this is what I talked about being an entrepreneur and all of the things that you need to do. So we've got to come up with, or we just implemented a new time and attendance system, a new 401k system, a new insurance policies. We're implementing a new ERP system and we're doing a move. So that's the next 90 days.
Wow.
So that's really, really within 6 months, I've got a vision of what I want this company to be in terms of, and it's a vision. It is a actual physical picture of where I want it to be, what I want it to look like on the inside, how I want the people to be, acting, how I want the customers to feel. And, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get there in the next 3 to 6 months.
What was your process? I mean, so you sort of see where you want it to be in 6 months. Your goal is what, to double it, triple it?
Yeah, I'd like to double the company. Yeah, for sure. In fact, so one of the things that we've spent a lot of time doing is, because we do have a retail brand, I've spent a lot of time on internet marketing, and my son is a CS major and, does computer programming and autonomous vehicles. And, he's great. So he's really taken on our internet presence and our website and we're actually going to completely redo the website because we realized we took this one as far as we could. And so I've told him that when we double the company, I'll get him a Mach 1 Mustang as a company car. So that's his incentive, and that's part of it, right? Is incentivizing people in the right way. So yeah, I'd like to double the company. I think that would make it a good size. It would be of a size that I could step back a little bit
Right.
and, look at, the next opportunity or whatnot. But, once you get a taste of this drug of buying companies and fixing them and growing them, it does become addictive. And I'm already looking for, the next opportunity. So I've already been talking to people and, seeing what else is out there. So it is addictive once you get started on that.
So it's a scary time for a lot of people. I mean, I started my business during the financial crisis. It was a little bit of a scary time. Right now is a little bit of a scary time. What are you telling folks that are a little bit nervous about where life is taking them and looking for the opportunities and being open?
Well, right now there are people that are running scared. And if you've got the ability to pivot on that and take advantage of that, now's the time to do it. From a multiple perspective, from a competitive competition perspective, if you're out there looking for a business, and I can't believe that there are a lot of people that are in a similar position. So whereas 6 months ago, you may have had 10 competitors looking at a business, now you may have 2, so if you have the ability, now is when you make your money is in these downturns.
Right. Yeah. That's where the chaos is greatest. The opportunity is too.
Yeah. And our customer base is really, general aviation owners, business aviation. So business aviation is coming back. We all see that it's coming back slowly. And the general aviation space has been very active. I've been pretty surprised at people with Bonanzas and Cirruses and Moonies. They're buying aircraft and they're upgrading them. They're spending a lot of money on avionics upgrades, engine upgrades, and we're riding that. So that part of the market's actually been pretty strong. I've been very pleasantly surprised with that.
Where do you see your opportunity moving forward?
There's probably two different directions I can go. One is in terms of acquisitions, is going into very similar companies and just consolidating and aggregating. That's one direction. And the other is, do we really want to, can we take this company and start to bump up against some of the bigger players? And the reality is, with all of the consolidation over the last 10 years, there's 2 big players now. One in France and one that used to be based in Hartford, now based up in Boston. That's it. I don't know if I want to poke those bears. That's a big, big step. So, we nibble around the edges, we find our opportunities. And, I think one of our opportunities is going to be in the MRO space, on the oxygen systems. And, we had some meetings about that over the last couple of weeks. Are there things that we can do to expand our capabilities? And, having come out of the MRO side recently, I think there's a lot of opportunities there, both inside the fence working with established OEMs, and then outside the fence with PMA, and doing third-party repairs. So, we're evaluating that. And then, new product development probably is going to be a refresh of some of our existing product lines, and make them more modern, producible, things like that.
So when Bill brought you this opportunity, great guy.
Yep.
What was the driving decision to say, yeah? Had you told him, hey, if you see something that, looks good, I want to know about it first? Or
no, I've known Bill and have flown with Bill, and, known him quite a while. So he's had a pretty good sense of me and what my capabilities are. And, we had talked about this deal, at a very high level, just as friends. And, I started thinking about it, and I thought that I could add value here, and I've looked at other deals where I've looked at it and I said, I personally cannot add value here. I don't have the right skill set. I don't have the right, the right expertise or the connections, especially on the defense side. That's not really my strength. But, from the customers are people like me, general aviation pilots. The products are highly engineered, which plays to my engineering background. It's got a 145, it's got a component MRO. It's at a size that we can manage, my wife and I as co-owners. So I looked at it and looked at where its strengths were, what it really needed. It needed somebody with an engineering background. It needed somebody with a relentless customer focus who could talk the language. I mean, I just gave a safety seminar through the FAA to a pilots association to talk for an hour about 91-211 and oxygen systems and pulse oximetry and from a pilot's perspective and from a CFI perspective. And we got a lot of great feedback. And in fact, we'll be doing that podcast or that seminar nationally in August. So, when I looked at the deal, I said, this is something that I can add value to. And, the more I looked at it, the more I thought that I was the right owner for this, and that, again, this was the right opportunity for me. It's
still scary, though.
Yeah, it's still scary. It's scary because, it's funny. Everything comes out of the woodwork when people hear that there's a new owner. So there's a lot of discovery about things that, no matter what you do in due diligence, there's still a lot of discovery. So, we get phone calls and things like that. And we had planned for that. And, we've planned for that, but it's still very scary. And, you look at everything every day and you're like, why didn't people call today? Or, why didn't this happen? Or why didn't that happen? And, you take it a little personally and, but tomorrow's another day and you just get up and you just keep going and, everything's going to be great.
That's awesome.
And I'm having a great time. So that's a big part of it is I really wanted something that I would enjoy doing. And, I love this.
Yeah. That's the way I feel too. It's one of those things as an entrepreneur, there's no easy day, but it's your day. And,
it is your day.
It's your day. So
yep.
How do people get a hold of you?
Aerox.com is our website, AEROX. My email is scott@aerox.com, SCOTT. That's the best way. And I'm on LinkedIn. We're on all of the social media. So I am very, very findable.
Thanks for coming on.
It is my pleasure, Craig. Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the latest edition of the Aerospace Executive Podcast. You can reach out to me directly, Craig at northstaresg.com, or check us out at www.northstaresg.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or on YouTube. Just do a search for Aerospace Executive Podcast. Thanks again. I'm Craig Pickett.